Hey guys, this is Gusen for 6plusholdem.com, and before this video starts I just want to give you guys a short introduction in our newest promotion we have running on Natural8. So basically we are giving away $1,000 completely for free, and here is how it works. So all you need to do is sign up using our affiliate link. You can find that down below this video. Then deposit any amount you want and reach the shrimp level of the fish buffet. You roughly need to rake $5, so it's very easy to manage. And if you have done these 3 steps, you are qualified for the giveaway. So in total, we are giving away $1,000 to 10 players. The promotion starts on January the 31st and it ends on March 6th. The earlier you register to this promotion, the higher are your chances for actually winning, since if you win the $100 in the first week, you are also able to win them in the second and third week and so on. All you need to do is maintain the fish buffet level, which is shrimp, to qualify for each individual week. In case you guys have any questions regarding this promotion, feel free to leave a comment or contact us in the Discord channel. Good luck to all participants, and now enjoy the part 4 of the Bankroll challenge. Hello guys, warm welcome to part 4 of the Bankroll challenge. As you can see, today we are mixing it up actually. We are not playing live, we are doing a session review of a session that I played a couple of days ago. Can't actually remember any of these spots, so this could be very interesting. As usual, we are playing 4 tables of 1 CNY. So this is roughly NL14 in US dollars. And we are trying to reach the goal of $1,000. Currently we are at, I think, 230. So on a very good way. And let's see how this session turns out. In case I miss any of the interesting hands or any spots you would like to talk about, feel free to leave a comment. You can also just join the Discord and ask there. You can find the link down below this video. I really appreciate all your feedback from the previous videos. We really hope that at this point we have made it as enjoyable to watch as possible. In case we can improve something, please let us know. Shoutouts to my man Guadalupe, you can see him on table number 3. He's a very decent player, also part of our community. Pocket 8's easy fold against a jam on table number 3. 7-9 easy check back. On this board, if it gets checked to us, I would always bet, and once we face a bet, we can actually now go for a raise or go for the fold. I think we should never call here, since we can't really continue on any turn. Yeah, so I think I would go for a small raise here. But folding is obviously also fine. Pocket 6s, table number 2, being this shallow, I think it's a clear fold. I like that I actually go for the raise. This sizing you could go smaller. I think 12 gives you the same fold equity as raising to 15. And once he jams all in there, there's nothing we can do, of course. 7-10 suited on table number 4. This might be a bit too loose. Depends a lot on how aggressive the table is. King Queen suited, easy shove. So this, on table number 4, we have a pair and a flush draw, so this is actually interesting. You can see I'm thinking about what bet size to choose here, since we want to qualify for the jackpot promo. We have currently invested 2 antes, so 1 ante preflop and 1 limp preflop, so we need to invest 13 more to be able to qualify for the jackpot promo. So therefore we have two options. Actually, we have three options. We can go all in, we can check raise, or we can bet 13 here. I don't mind going all in here because betting 13 might be a kind of obvious. So I think just jamming here is fine. At the same time, check raising is also good since our hand is just super strong. But jamming and eventually taking down the 10 antes dead money is also very, very good result. And you can see I have an extra table on the second monitor in case one of these break. 8-9 suited, easy call here. Okay, so we face a jam here. This is quite interesting actually, since he only got 22 antes. I'm pretty sure I called here. Not 100% sure if it's correct. Let's just see whether we called or not. So we need to call 21 and the pot is then 51. So that means we actually need 41% equity. So what range do you think he's doing this with? I think being like 22, I think anti-steep. Yeah, I think it was 22 anti-steep. He's definitely got a super wide range. I think all of these hands are possible shoves from him. Yeah, and you can see we have 43% equity. Even if he removes some of this, our equity doesn't really change. So I think we made a correct call here. Table number 4, we make a set on the turn. I think the flop was checked around, bad river. Not sure if we should shove here. I think checking is better since he has some jack X in his range, like queen jack, king jack, 10 jack. And at the same time, I don't think he's calling our shove. With worse, we actually made the jackpot on the table number 2, so we did everything right. Ace king, table number 4, easy shove. 10-8 suited, you could go for a bet here since his button range will be very weak on this board. I think I talked about this concept several times in the past. Basically, once the button checked pre-flop, he is very, very capped. (10-8) offsuit, it's a limp pot. We decided to bet on the flop with top pair, a gut shot and a flush draw. Turn is actually okay for us to continue betting on. We have the best possible blocker with the 8 of diamonds. If we get shoved here, we have to fold, of course. Against a min raise, we have an easy call. Okay, that's a very, very bad fold, I think. I can somewhat understand why I did fold it. since once people are taking the line check call, check min raise on this kind of board, they usually are super strong. So I think we will run into a flush here a decent amount of the time. The question is he capable of doing it with a hand like ace king with the king of diamonds, or ace 10? Against those hands we definitely have the odds to call, since we have a pair and a gut shot. Like, our flush draw might not be live beside the 7 of diamonds. So I think, given that he's only check min raising, we kind of have to call. Obviously not a spot we are super happy to make a call, since we will have some reversed implieds. For example, if we made a straight on the river and he bets, we have to call, and then we run into a flush a decent amount of the time. So probably not the worst fold, but maybe a bit too nitty. By the way, you can see this video or this recording is a little bit over an hour, so we will probably divide this into a 2-part review. A7, table number 2, limp pot. These situations are one of the most tricky ones. We do want to bet here on the flop actually. I don't like the check back. I think we need to protect here. There's also some value against like mid pairs and gut shots. So yeah, I don't like the check back here. So apparently this player is about to check raise and play tricky in some situations. Very interesting. Ace check offsuit, I think against 19 antes. You can see we had the odds to call with 8-9 suited, so I think ace jack offsuit will definitely perform good here. Table number 2, we ISO raise with 10-9 suited. You definitely want to have that in your raising range, and the reason why we are not shoving here is since that we are over 100 big blinds deep against this player, and you don't want to shove being more than 100 antes deep as an ISO. We actually face a 3-bet here. On the smaller side, I think we need to call 19 into 60. Yeah, call 19 in order to win 60, so we need roughly 30%. I think this is a clear call. 19 suited flops very well. Ace 10 offsuit, table number 1. This is basically the worst hand I would shove in these situations. 10-9 suited, he was betting really small on the flop. We have some backdoor straights, backdoor flush. Yeah, I don't mind floating here. On the ace on the turn, there's nothing we can do. If he bets again, we have to fold. we do run into ace queen on table number 1. So this Psyche guy seems to be limping a lot. Therefore I want to isolate a bit wider. Again, ace-10 offsuit is one of the more marginal hands to do it with. King 10-6, very good board to c-bet on. This hits our range very well. Table number 3, we run into ace-king again with our ace-10. That is the big problem, like if we get called with ace-10 we are crushed most of the time. Table number 1, you can see we bet the flop with king queen, having the nut gut shot. I think that is fine. Turn is one of the worst cards, so we checked. Also the fact that we are up against 2 players makes us want to check more. The river is actually pretty good for us. We could go for a overbet shove here. I think we have a lot of full equity. We can represent king jack, also queens and ace queen are possible. At the same time we do have some showdown value, but I think I prefer going all in here a bit more. That would definitely have worked against these hands. Yeah, so a couple of like mistakes so far. Not any huge mistakes, but yeah, definitely not playing up to my best, I would say. Table number 3, we get it in 3 ways with ace, with pocket kings against ace queen twice, which is the dream scenario. Very dangerous board. 9 or ace makes them win. The ISO raise with ace-9 suited, I don't mind having ace-9 suited in my range there, but I think it might be a bit too loose actually. Okay, so this is a bit too spewy, I think, going broke here with ace-9 for almost 70 antes. Maybe I was a bit tilt from the pocket king's end. Yeah, so I don't like that shove here at all. But we're actually in a very, very decent shape here. Against queens and 6s. He's apparently calling with 6s. We took down the side pot, so not losing too much in that hand. Still very bad play from me, I have to admit. Ace-jack suited, pretty standard ISO. You could also limp here in order to limp call or limp shove. And we are not shoving here, given that the button is 100 ante steep. So once the Zhang Ziyi guy shoves here, I think we have to go broke given the dead money in the pot, and we do want to reshove here in order to make the cutoff and the button fold. And we get it in very good here actually. Not the greatest flop. We still have king and 8 to win. His shove though with the queen 10 suited, I think it's very marginal. I would much rather have a hand like jack 10 or 9 10 suited there, since having queen 10 suited is more likely to be dominated. But given that there was so much dead money, I think it's fine to even do it with queen 10 suited. The overcall from queen jack offsuit from the cutoff though, I think that is too loose. Table number 4, easy call against the 10 ante stack. Ace-9 offsuit from middle position. You can go both ways here. Folding and calling are both fine. The playability of Ace-9 offsuit is just very horrible, so depends quite a bit on how aggressive the opponents are sitting behind you. Table number 4, against a very small raise preflop, we have to call given the odds. And on this board, I think we should always go for the check raise. We have full equity against overpairs, and also we have a lot of equity on this board. Queen jack suited shoving against the short stick. The guy was jamming with pocket sixes, so that shows us he's having a very wide range. Table number 2, ace jack offsuit. Psyche is, as mentioned before, limping a lot, it seems, so definitely want to ISO versus this guy. Very interesting board. I think default is to either check behind or bet fold. If we get check raised here, we are in very bad shape. I think the best we can hope for is a hand like 9-10, and even against 9-10 we are an underdog. So I think not much we can do here. At the same time, we actually do want to bet to protect our hand. Yeah, so pretty standard. Table number 4, we open raised with Queen 9 suited, given that the button seems to be a weak player and also is relatively deep, almost 100 antes. Then we face a basically a min 3-bet shove from the cutoff, and the button overcalls. So the question is, do we want to shove here or do we want to call? It depends a lot on how much fold equity we have against the button. Yeah, he should be shoving most of his strong hands here actually. Because with a hand like, I don't know, ace queen or ace king, he should not risk it becoming a multi-way pot. Yeah, so I think shoving is fine from us, calling is also fine. Okay, so he actually has ace queen. That means that our shove was not very good. So what happened on table number 3? 1 second, let's just scroll back a bit. Okay, so we shoved and he was calling with 9-10 offsuit. Okay, that's a very interesting call. Alright, sorry guys, had to change the batteries of my headphones. Okay, so we raised to 8 antes with queen jack suited. Yeah, you could also limp behind, both options are fine. And then once we face a jam, we have to call, especially given that this guy has shown that he's willing to get it in light. Yeah, against pocket tens we're actually a favorite. The queen 9 suited hand, I think we actually misplayed. I was thinking while I played probably that he's shoving with his strong hands like ace king, ace queen. But apparently that was not correct, so luckily we got there. So the Jack-9 hand on the turn, we have a double gut shot. The 6 and the 10 makes us straight. Both gut shots does not make us the nut straight, and we have 2 players sitting behind. Therefore, I think folding is the best play. Also, there is a flush draw out, so we might have less outs than we think. Yeah, I think folding is the best play. At the same time, having an open ender basically is never too bad. Although I think folding could be better. (7-10) offsuit. I know it's a small raise pre-flop. Still don't like it. I think 10-8 is the bottom of my range there. (8-9) suited, easy call against a small raise preflop. He checks behind ace queen, which is very interesting. Turn we pick up a gut shot, and at the same time we wanna qualify for the jackpot, so I think betting is definitely the best play. We might have some full equity against a hand like pocket 10s, pocket jacks. So pretty standard bet. It seems that we have recovered from a couple of all-ins that we lost in the beginning. We are probably around breaking even at this point. As usual, I will tell you how much we won or lost in the end of this review. And this is going to be a 2-part series. I think we will stop the video at the 30-minute mark and then continue in the next video. Ace king suited, limp pot, easy bet on the flop, top 2 pair. We're always calling a shove here. Turn, we want to continue. And also calling if he shoves here, of course. The river is a very, very good card for us. We're only losing against a hand like ace 8 here. Queen 8. Okay, I'm surprised that he only calls that on the flop, given that he has a flush draw and a gut shot. Perfect board run out for him. But nothing we could have done differently there. Ace king, standard 3-bet jam. He's calling with king jack suited. That's interesting. Dangerous turn. But a good river. Table number 4, we decided to check raise with the nut flush draw. Again, you could go both ways here. Either betting or check raising are fine. Okay, so here's a very interesting spot actually. Against Guadeloupe. It's a limp pot. We decided to bet and he is shoving all in here. I think this hand is actually worth making a calculation on. So, given that he checked back the button, we can exclude hands like kings and ace, king and aces. Also king queen suited will raise preflop. He also is shorter than 50 antes, so I don't know how often he is checking behind king queen and king jack suited. So I will weight those at 50%. Other than that, he can definitely have all the two pairs. 9-6, king 6, king 9. Sixes and nines are possible, of course. And then I think he got tons of draws, like 7-8, of course. Basically any flush draw he should shove like this. Given that he is so short, at the same time he's also able to qualify for the jackpot if he shoves here, so he should be doing that with any flush draw. This now could take a couple of seconds, so he can't have those. Jack 10 suited, I think he's shoving pre-flop, so I don't think he got that hand. 8-6 is possible, and 7-6. A7 suited, of course. I think he's shoving all of the other hands. Let me just check if I missed the hand. I think being this short, he's capable of doing it with king 10 and king jack. I don't think he's shoving king 8 or king 7 here. I think he's more likely to call those hands. However, we don't know that, and I just put like 25% on those. This is like really hard to know whether he's shoving or calling those type of hands. But other than that, I think his range looks pretty good. So you can see we have 36% equity against this range, and we need to call 37 in order to win 92. That means we have the pot odds of 40%, so I think this is definitely a fold. Yeah, so let's see whether we called or folded. I could imagine that I called here, given that this guy is from our community and I wanted to needle him. So he shows us king 10, 35% equity. We need a 7 or an ace here to win. And we suck out on the river. And also giving him the emote. So far we made a couple of bad plays, and it seems like we were lucky in most of them. King Jack suited, we decided to not shove pre-flop. This hand is definitely good enough to shove, even against two players. At the same time, it has very good playability post-flop, so you can mix that into your limping range as well. On the flop, we have the nut open-ender against 2 checks. We definitely want to bet here, and also getting it in against anyone. Table number 1, limp pot, we have the nut open-ender as well. Easy bet on the ace-high board. We take down both pots. So this game is just basically all about the dead money. You have to be aggressive in the limp pots whenever you have range advantage, the opponent's being capped. And in the other situations, like in raised pots and stuff like that, I always recommend just playing very straightforward. Seems like we turned this into a profitable session by now. Let me know in the comments, please, what you think about this format of the session review instead of live play. I think this gives us more time to make some oranges calculations and also find bad plays that I make that you can't really talk about while playing live. The king queen offsuit hand, table number 4, we limp called preflop, I think, being a bit deeper than 50 antes. We face a very small c-bet, so the question is, should we call or shove here? I think both options are fine. We definitely want to shove our flush draws and our open-enders here. Therefore, having king queen in your range is definitely a good thing. At the same time, there is value and protection in a check raise. Surprisingly, he checks, like we decided to call on the flop, obviously, and surprisingly he checks behind the ace on the turn. And we river trips, so at this point I think betting fairly large is the best play in order to represent a misdraw, to get value from, I don't know, pocket queens maybe, pocket jacks. Eventually he's checking behind on the turn with a hand like ace jack, which actually would surprise me a lot. So he decides to fold. He probably had a hand like jacks or queens then. Table number 2, we turned a nut straight. I think it is a limp pot and we faced a bet on the flop. And of course with the straight we are going to raise. Not too afraid of the flush there, given that we also have a spade. And his range should be more in the region of ace-x type hands. Ace-10 suited, standard ISO jam against one player. Again, we run into ace-king, so those ace-10 type hands are not working very well for us. Maybe we can manage to win this one. Okay, let's rewind a bit. I did miss the action on table number 1. So this is a limp pot here. You could raise this pre-flop. Limping is also fine. I went for a flop check raise here, it seems. Yeah, I think the sizing is fine. You could even go smaller here, Basically check raising, since I have more kings in my range than he does, since he would raise ace king, kings, king queen, king jack pre-flop some of the time. And I have those in my limping range, so I think check raising is very fine. Once he's calling here, I think we have to give up the hand. The 9 on the turn, of course, is one of the better cards. I still think that we have to check fold here, given that people are not or should not call a check raise with an 8 here. So yeah, king on the river, probably one of the best cards, since it's super likely that unlikely that he got a king now. So I'm betting very, very small to get value from 8x. If we get shoved here, he is having quads for sure. Yeah, I think the bet on river is still fine, because he will check behind his 8x if he calls those on the flop. Alright, so let's continue until we see one more all-in from us. And then we go on in the part 2. Table number 4, limp pot. We have bottom set. Basically the nuts in this situation. We are never folding. We face a pot size bet. I think we can slow play this. You could also go all in. Both plays are fine. The jack on the turn, not the greatest card. At the same time, we are not folding this hand ever. He check calls the turn against our small sizing. He got 30 left on the river. Easy jam here. And he shows us 9-10. Yeah, I think it's really hard for him to fold the turn, given that we are betting so small. So yeah, probably just a setup, since he can somewhat exclude us having a full house on the turn, given that we only called the flop. So yeah, actually just a pretty standard hand. Once he hits the nut straight on the river, he kind of has to call, since we would also value bet worse hands, like maybe queen jack, jack 10 type hands. Yeah, so we will wrap it up at this point. Overall, not too happy with how I played in a lot of spots. I think we played good overall, with some like mistakes. For example, the queen 9 suited hand, the 3-way all-in, then a couple of ace 10 all-ins, which might be a bit too loose. Other than that, I think we played solid. I do think we are up a bit. However, I will update you about the bankroll in the end of part 2 of this series. Yeah, till then, hope you enjoyed this. Feel free to leave a like, a comment, ask any question in our Discord. and see you guys in the next video. Good luck at the tables. Bye bye.